School boards will have to remove any material with explicit sexual content from their library shelves by October 1st, 2025.
If you were anywhere near the Canadian internet yesterday, you might have thought the Alberta government had just launched a full-blown Nazi-style book-burning moment in our school libraries, banning books about puberty, menstruation, hand-holding, breastfeeding, and heaven forbid, kissing. That is, of course, if you were relying on Global News, the Globe and Mail, or professional disinformation factories like The Breakdown, because instead of reporting facts, most of the legacy media simply copy-pasted each other's outrage bait without reading the documents sitting in their inboxes under embargo for 3 hours. Let me say that again. They had the full ministerial order in advance. They had a detailed media briefing deck in advance. They watched the same press conference I did. They had all the facts 3 hours in advance, and they still chose fiction. How do I know? Because I had those embargoed documents too, and I didn't get the story wrong. Here's what happened. Alberta's Education Minister, Dimitrios Nikolaides, issued a new ministerial order to clean up the junk in school libraries, specifically targeting sexually explicit content. Starting October 1st, school boards are required to remove books with clear and detailed depictions of sexual acts. You know, like masturbation, penetration, it goes on. Not Shakespearean innuendo. This is pornography light, and actually maybe even pornography hard.
I think the spirit here again is to make sure that really explicit and graphic sexual content is not made available to minor children. So what you just described, in terms of Romeo and Juliet, I wouldn't categorize that as being sexually explicit.
Stuff no one in their right mind would hand to a grade 6 kid and call age-appropriate education materials. The standards go further and clarify access based on age. Grades K to 9, no explicit or non-explicit sexual content, but puberty, menstruation, pregnancy, breastfeeding, hand-holding, hugging, kissing, totally allowed. Grades 10 to 12, they can access non-explicit sexual content if it's developmentally appropriate. Still, no hardcore content. And what kind of psychopath weirdo wants kids to have access to hardcore content? It's not even a ban. It's just a basic safeguard. This stuff shouldn't be in school libraries. But don't tell that to the outrage mob, because right after that embargo lifted, Global Calgary was tweeting out panic clickbait. The Breakdown, not to be outdone in the race to the bottom, claimed libraries couldn't even carry books that mention menstruation or romantic relationships. The Globe and Mail, once considered a serious outlet, published misinformation so egregious that Alberta's Education Ministry had to email reporters with a line-by-line correction by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's go to that email. Garrett Kohler, the minister's press secretary, had to spell it out for the so-called professionals. There are absolutely no restrictions on content about puberty, menstruation, and breastfeeding for any grade level. It's like these reporters skimmed the bold headlines, ignored the multiple pages of definitions, and decided their job was to manufacture outrage, not report the truth. Either that, or they were deliberately misleading readers to push a narrative that paints any parental oversight as some sort of moral panic. In fact, the documents they were given could not have been any clearer. From the press briefing deck, the following types of content are not considered sexual and not restricted: puberty, menstruation, breastfeeding, encyclopedias, kissing, hugging, hand-holding. Did they read that part? I don't know. Make up your own mind. Maybe they did and ignored it anyway because the narrative sells better than the nuance. The Breakdown later tweeted that the Globe updated its article. Great. After the damage was done, after public perception was poisoned, after legacy media once again revealed their instinct isn't to inform, it's to inflame. This wasn't a mistake, at least I don't think so. This was either sheer laziness or willful agenda-driven journalism. Neither is acceptable. In their rush to dunk on the United Conservative Party, the media made themselves look foolish. And worse, they made it harder for parents to trust anything these outlets report about education policy going forward. So here's the message to the press corps. Read the briefing documents, ask questions, and then double check. And maybe next time, don't accuse a province of book banning because they're trying to keep gay erotica out of elementary schools. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you agree with me that these sex activist teachers should be keeping their gay erotica out of elementary schools, please sign our petition at stopclassroomgrooming.com.